Hey friends, Dynamics 365 AI prompts have just got so powerful that now you can just not specify simply hard-coded text inside, but you can also play with them by specifying various kinds of tables along with their joins inside them, sort orders inside them, group by fields inside them, just by turning on this feature, which I'm going to show it to you. For example, I have created one prompt like which I've given a name like this called get vendors not settled. So get vendors transactions not settled. So inside that, I've given very simple steps like this. I'm saying you're a prompt who is supposed to bring the list of all the vendor transactions that have not been settled for the organization, which I'm passing a variable called legal entity. So this is the legal entity, which is like this. And then I'm saying a lot of additional steps. Say, for example, I'm saying that get the list of all the fields which are part of this data entity called the word vendor transactions. And then I'm asking it to get this inner join with the vendors v2. And then I'm specifying the relation between vendors v2 and the vendor transaction. And I'm also specifying the vendor transactions dot date is less than equals to cutoff date. So I can also specify less than equals to like this, and I specify the cutoff date, which is another variable. So inside this variable, I'm giving a sample date like this, sample data like this, and then I'm saying that vendor transactions last settled voucher is equals to blank, and you need to order it by the vendor transactions dot date as descending. So you see all these fields, all these data fields, I can specify just by selecting the necessary Dataverse table by hitting this slash, and which is going to let me select the Dataverse, and Dataverse is going to get loaded the list of the tables that are going to get loaded in a flash of few moments. So these are the essentially these are the tables that you have got exposed as virtual entities from Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. You can also select the fields that are required for you. And say, for example, I'm going to select chain, charges group, credit limit. Like this, I can select as many as fields as I need, and I can simply hit down add. I'm not doing this because I've already got them added. And so additionally, what I'm doing is that I'm also specifying the data outcome. I'm saying this response should be like a table. It should be a table with the following columns: the vendor account, the group of the vendor, the voucher of the vendor, the date of the transaction, the currency, and the amount. No need to provide any explanation and remove any unnecessary contents. So as to make the response be as cut to the chase, cut to the point as possible, and remove record links. So this is very important because you are connecting two or more tables. So obviously, what by default the prompt can do is that it can give you the all the ref rec ID relation, which is not needed in your response. So you can specify that and convert the dates into any date format of your choice instead of JSON format. So by default, AI prompts always do that. They get the dates as JSON format. So you have to format that. So with that, when you have we have to go to there's three dots and you go to settings and you need to go to the enable code interpreter. So when you enable them and you come back and you just see, I'm clicking on test, it's going to take a few moments to get you the results. So let's wait for the response. And here comes the response with a detailed view of vendor account, group, voucher, date, currency, and amount, and with the dates getting, from the higher values to the lower values. So all the way down, you would see dates as back as in the times of 2017, 2016, like that. It's going down. So yes, and it has removed all unnecessary context from the response as well. So why this approach was needed was that, first of all, the same thing you could also have achieved by calling your Copilot Studio prompts, by Copilot Studio prompts from your flows or from your agents. Why this this approach was needed? So you can see like the Copilot Studio prompts is a very powerful way of communicating, responding back to your agents. But at the same time, this can also help you to format your data as per as your need be. So, say for example, here there is a filter. You can see that I have passed on this filter as company code as legal entity. So I'm just focusing this on whatever company code whatever legal entity value is going to come from the the input parameter. It's going to focus on that, it's going to filter on that. But unnecessarily, unfortunately there is no way to add any more parameters to my data entity. So as a result, you can turn on this code the code interpreter on, and you can also specify as much of your variables as you want to, just by specifying the same in as a part of your query. Say for example, when the transactions dot date is less than equals to cut off date, settle voucher is equals to blank, which implies that unsettled vouchers, bring all my unsettled voucher from the system, and the transaction date should be in a descending manner. So all these features you cannot specify them in one filter of your Dataverse table. So in order to avoid that, you can turn on this feature as I was saying, and you can get them visible in as much as possible as you need. So with that, you can save this. You can also specify any number of format you want them. So say for example, I am just giving it should be a HTML response so as to be rendered in an email. Keep the header in bold. So if I click on test once again, so the results are going to come in a bit, and which is going to be just like in an HTML tagged response, just so as to get them rendered on an email body. Yeah. And so you see, this is in just as a predefined HTML format. So you can just get hold of this response, and you can use this in your agent directly, or you can send as an email to the recipient, or you can also send as a markdown response. In whatever format you want, you can get them addressed. And just not this, there are a couple of new tabs that have got added called knowledge used and run details. So knowledge used primarily is like, if you have used any kind of data sources apart from the data source that I've used. Say for example, I have used Dataverse as my data source, but you have used some other data source, say for example, as an Azure Blob Storage container, or you have used a SharePoint container, or you have used an Excel as a data source, then the knowledge used would come into relevance. But as we have not used anything as such, that's why it's empty. Now, if you come to run details, you could see the details of how the whole code has executed and how the whole data has been fetched. So it's saying that execution started with retrieving vendor transactions not settled for the organization, received legal entity, received cutoff date, converted the cutoff date into ISO standard, that is the JSON at understandable format, and querying the vendor transactions with filter USMF and trans date list that equals like this. So it's going to give you a stack trace of the execution. And if it can also help you to understand, say for example, at a particular given step, your AI prompt fails to execute, you can also understand why it failed, and you can do the necessary remediation. And coming back to the prompts, if I go to more and I can see, test hub, this is still in the preview feature. And if I click on this, I'll be able to see a lot of options to generate test cases. Say, for example, I can add a new test case manually, I can upload a test case, or I can generate, or I can create from activity. Activity in the sense, the previous prompts of my prompt. So I can generate just like that. And it's going to take all the tests that I have run, all the results that have been generated previously, and I can select and I can generate the tests from there. This is going to take a couple of moments to run them, and this were the records that got generated, and I'm going to just hit on run selected, which is going to run through all the records that actually are generated previously as part of the outcomes, and it's running them and finding out what is the test results should be like. So it's also going to take some moments to get that generated. Let's wait and see the outcome. And here comes the outcome with an accuracy score of 74%. It got completed, and the model name chosen was GPT-41 Mini. And if I click on this, it's going to show me the results. So 2 cases failed, and rest all 8 got passed. And you can keep on fine-tuning your models so as to come into a better and better response as you build. So with that, I'm taking your leave. Let me know how you felt it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Much love, Subhan.